coming out to the east end of Tacumshane through the channel. It's like emerging into a different world. So it's a quiet place. There's swallows and hirundines. You might be able to see them, so many of them, sweeping down and grabbing insects in front of me now. I have Dunlin, a little stint out on the water. There's a few ruff around, a couple of pectoral sandpipers, which are vagrants from North America, regular birds here in September each year. And it's really like an annual pilgrimage to come down to Tacumshane, and I keep reminding myself to come down more often because it's such a special place for birders in Ireland. Now, the intention for the day here, I have the 400 with the 1.4 converter on, and the intention is just to try to get some images at water level. So I've lowered myself right down in the mud and the wet here. I've waterproof pants on. Wellies are mandatory out here, but just to be here, to be amongst these birds in this marshland, in this such a special habitat, it really is, it's magical. So let's see how we get on. I'm targeting a little stint not far from me at the moment, and I just want that bird to wade clear of the surrounding vegetation, or else to have some of that vegetation in the image, but not to obstruct the bird, so that it's well placed, and obviously being down at eye level, lying down at the level of the water. Now I've brought my little frying pan, as they call them, so that I can push the camera through any shallow water. But at the moment I have the camera resting on top of the camera bag, and I'm just lying in the marsh as such. You know, the water is not getting through these waterproof pants at the moment. That's only a matter of time. So let's see how I get on this morning. Well, my attention was diverted from the wading birds to the hirundines, the largely swallows and house martins and sand martins that are settling on the sand here, but getting close to them was difficult. So I've just lay down on the sand and spent the last 20 minutes. They land, they take off, they land, they take off. They're very, very wary. And I've got one or two distant shots, but this is a landscape in itself, this sand flat, which presents just a lovely environment in which to photograph these birds, and they gather here in huge numbers every September before they take flight over to the south coast of Britain and France, and making their way south to Africa. And swallows and some of the other hirundines make their way all the way to South Africa. An absolutely incredible, awe-inspiring journey. But to see them here on the sand flats gathering and feeding to fatten themselves up for that journey across the sea really is some sight. Well, the light this morning was quite nice. It's overcast, and therefore we've no reflections on the birds' bills or in the eyes. But Tacumshane is a place where sometimes the wading birds are very approachable, and other times they're a little bit flighty. Today they were approachable, but they gathered and flocked just offshore, which was a little bit too far. Now, well, I've come down to Carra Beach, and there are not many waders. There were a few godwits here when I arrived, but they flew off as soon as I approached, even within 40-50 yards of them. So
I've spent the last 15 or 20 minutes just taking some simple shots of wagtails, pied wagtails predominantly, and also one or two meadow pipits. And the meadow pipit shots actually turned out quite nice. A nice bit of light came out, very overcast day, perfect for bird photography.
Well, after the slim pickings in Carn Beach, I decided to return to the East End, make myself a little bit of lunch and retrace my steps across the channel, trudging across the marshland here, the salt marsh, and up onto the long beach that runs from Carnsore Point right the way through to Kilmore Quay. And the beach is a little bit messy, but it's full of life. And I was told there was a buff-breasted sandpiper on the beach. I couldn't even make it out with my binoculars. There were that many birds and along the whole length of the beach. But I lay down on the sand with not many birds around me, and before long a few birds gathered here and there. So that's a great tip. If you're in an area with birds, just lie down and stay still and be patient. And lo and behold, the first bird that appeared over the brow was the buff-breasted sandpiper. So I got some absolutely beautiful shots of this North American wading bird. And it's a very special bird. I think there's only a handful of them in the country at the moment. There are annual visitors here, but in very, very small numbers. Now, we also have lots of white wagtails, sanderling, dunlin, turnstone, and there's a few godwits here and there. So I'm going to stick with this and see if I can pull one or two more images out of the bag. It's starting to rain, but not to worry, that's what rain jackets are for. And I'm having absolute ball here. They're moving towards me again. So I'm going to grab the vlogging camera and put it away and get back to photographing the birds. Okay. Well, I hope you'll agree with me that Tacumshane in Wexford really is a very special and wild place, a real treasure in this country. And I've had a fantastic day here. Just the place itself, you're dwarfed in it. It's so huge. It reminds me of Holland in many ways, in that there is, it's a flat landscape with a big sky. And it's filled to the brim with birds, beautiful salt marsh, wonderful colours from the greens, the flowers are fading here, and the beach. But it's a wonderful place filled with the sound of birds, and I was happy enough with one or two of the images that I took today. So I hope you've enjoyed the vlog, and subscribe if you like the content, and until next time, thanks for watching.